Good day everyone! Today I'm going to share to you my short knowledge about the life of Mary Louise Pratt, her contribution as a linguist to language study and discourse analysis. So this is Mary Louise Pratt. She is 73 years old. Mary Louise Pratt is a Silver Professor and Professor of Spanish and Portuguese languages and literatures at New York University. She received her Bachelor of Arts in Modern Languages and Literatures from the University of Toronto in 1970, her Master of Arts in Linguistics from the University of Illinois at Urbana in 1971, and her Doctor of Philosophy in Comparative Literature from Stanford University in 1975. Toward the Speech Act Theory of Literary Discourse was her first book. Her first book made an important contribution to critical theory by demonstrating that the foundation of written literary narrative can be seen in the structure of oral narrative. In it, Pratt uses the research of William Labov to show that all narratives contain common structures that can be found in both literary and oral narratives. In her more recent research, Pratt has studied what she calls contact zones. Contact zones are areas in which two or more cultures communicate and negotiate shared histories and power relations. She remarks that contact zones are social spaces where cultures meet, clash, and grapple with each other, often in contexts of highly asymmetrical relations of power, such as colonialism, slavery, or their aftermaths, as they are lived out in many parts of the world today. In her article, Arts of the Contact Zone, Pratt also coins the term autoethnographic, in which people undertake to describe themselves in ways that engage with representations others have made of them. Autoethnographic is a form of qualitative research in which an author uses self-reflection and writing to explore anecdotal and personal experience and connect this autobiographical story to wider cultural, political, and social meanings and understandings. A self-reflective form of writing used across various disciplines such as communication studies, performance studies, education, English literature, anthropology, social work, sociology, history, psychology, theology and religious studies, marketing, business and educational administration, arts education, nursing, and physiotherapy. Her contribution to discourse analysis. So that is changing public discourse about language acquisition. As a part of the appointment, each Silver Professor must write a Silver Dialogue, an essay discussing a major issue in his or her field. Pratt used her essay to discuss the obstacles and possible solutions for promoting language learning in America. Pratt frames her argument with an anecdote from a multicultural wedding. It was a fancy California wedding party at a Big Bay Area hotel. The groom's family spoke Urdu, and the brides spoke Gujarati and Urdu. Both were practicing Muslims, but she was from the Southern California, sometimes regarded by the Northerners as too laid back. The groom was attended by his two best friends from high school, one of Mexican Jewish Anglo parentage and the other of Chinese and Japanese descent via Hawaii and Sacramento. Pratt uses the wedding as a segue to expose American myths about language. Pratt systematically challenges 4 common misconceptions about language learning. The first, the willing rejection of heritage languages by immigrants. American hostility to multilingualism. The limit of second language learning to early childhood, and the need of language expertise solely for national security. With each misconception, Pratt shows how these factors have come together to create a resistance to language learning that has helped cause the national security crisis that the critical language institutes are trying to solve. Pratt shows hope for changing the public discourse and outlines 4 ideas that need to be promoted in order to encourage language acquisition in America. Pratt sees a need to correct ideas about mono and multilingualism. Americans need to be shown that monolingualism is a handicap and that relying on others' willingness to learn English will simply limit transcultural communication to all but the most limited and scripted exchanges. Pratt also calls more encouragement of heritage language learning and using local non-English linguistic communities to fulfill needs in language learning and transcultural understanding. Along with using heritage communities, Pratt wants to see educators place more emphasis on advanced language competency and create a pipeline to encourage those who are skilled in language acquisition. In order to bring about these changes, she calls on her fellow academics and other LEPs, or linguistically endowed persons, to change how we discuss language learning and American public discourse. So that's all about Mary Louise Pratt, her contribution to discourse analysis in the language study.